The following review has been approved by Lord Carnage and the best of Classic Game Room. Welcome to Classic Game Room for the review of Deadly Moves on Sega Genesis, a game that's so terrible it might actually be bad for your health. This game absolutely sucks. I have nothing good to say about it except that I love the title, Deadly Moves. Because it sounds like any number of softcore porn detective films that you would have seen on Cinemax at 1 AM in the early 90s. Where Brooke Chesterfield just has to take a shower 5 seconds into the film with roaring saxophone music and, you know, there'd be like a room full of candles and, you know, well, Dirk Hansen called you earlier this evening. No! Brooke's gotta put on her red vinyl miniskirt, high heels, and hide a revolver in her stocking after teasing her hair, of course, to look like Tawny Katane from a Whitesnake video. Then meet Dirk at the diner, where instead of swapping information, well, you know. I suppose I should talk about the game Deadly Moves, except this movie sounds way more awesome. In fact, I think Barney's hide-and-seek game is more awesome than Deadly Moves on the Genesis. This game looks terrible and it plays even worse. It may just be the worst fighting game on the Sega Genesis, except Fighting Masters might give it a run for its money. That game's pretty awful too. Well, let's take a look at this one because you play a main character named Joe. Joe is from a small town in America where he dreams of being the greatest fighter in history. You know who else is from a small town in America? Brooke Chesterfield, who dreamed of being a model, so she moved to Los Angeles, only to wind up as a gumshoe detective, working for a small-time detective agency named Deadly Moves. Does this film actually exist? I'm making this up as I go, but it seems really plausible. There's a killer on the loose, and Brooke finds herself trapped in the alleyway. Thankfully, she's rescued by forklift driver and exotic dancer Hank Shadowford, with whom she shares 3 bottles of wine and the next slow-motion oily makeout scene. This movie better be on Laserdisc. Did you know that Deadly Moves is also known as Power Athlete? What a missed opportunity. It should be called Fist of Passion. When you play through the storyline, Joe attempts to beat the crap out of all these opponents. If you win, you take some of their power, like the Quickening in Highlander. You get more strength or speed, and it's such an awful game, but I love the shameless Street Fighter II inspired music. Each character only has 2 moves, and I don't think you can play as any of the other ones except Joe, unless you play 2-player against a friend, which is equally awful. Your friends will hate you. Warren looks like he's having some personal problems, so I'll choose Rion, and off we go to Hawaii, which is ideal because that's where the dream sequence in Deadly Moves, the movie, takes place. They all had dream sequences. And you've got to open the dream sequence with sheets blowing in the wind and a blue filter, followed by the beach makeout scene, where Brooke fantasizes about the hot bartender named Tommy who never removes his sunglasses. Tommy wins, but you lose if you're playing Deadly Moves on the Genesis, because there's so many better fighting games to choose from. This is horrific. It's not even so bad that it's good, it's just so bad that it's bad. I find it amusing that they also tried to rip off the Street Fighter II continuing countdown sequence. The fonts are more or less the same, and the characters are even pretty blatant rip-offs when you get down to it. It's like they spent 5 minutes making this, and it's just terrible. But of course I've got a Classic Game Room shout-out and thank you to send to Frank from San Leandro once again. Thanks, Frank. This game's awesome. It's not, but thanks anyway, Frank. This game ends with you throwing it into the trash, but Deadly Moves the movie ends with a shootout followed by Tommy the bartender being crushed by a forklift driven by Brooke Chesterfield on her way to make out with Eric Roberts, who framed Tommy in an attempt to save the dojo from corrupt real estate investors who also own half of Deadly Moves. The best of Classic Game Room is on DVD, Blu-ray, and Laser Hypervision album set. Our never-ending passion will be like a forklift of desire.